Hey guys, welcome back to Rossoneri TV. I'm Gio and I'm yet here for another AC Milan news live stream to bring you the latest news and rumors currently going on at AC Milan. Now, as you can see, there's a new interface here on the live stream, trying to bring something more interactive to you guys. As you can see in the bottom right corner, I've added something new. This is the live subscriber count. As you guys subscribe to the channel, it will eventually go up in real time. And what I'm planning to do with this is in each live stream, specifically for the watch-alongs, I want to reach certain challenges that we could do together in order to attain our goals on this channel. So that's a little addition that you're going to be seeing there on the bottom right corner of your screen. On my right side, instead, you will be seeing the players that I will be speaking about in real time. Everything to bring you guys a more interactive experience so that you guys can manage this channel even better. Now, speaking about the players that I will be talking about today, I will be talking about, first of all, Honda, then I'll be talking about Romagnoli, Bidet, and also I'll be talking about Cellini. So first of all, I want to be start talking about Keisuke Honda. So let's get started with him. Now, Keisuke Honda, his agent came out today and mentioned that he has been getting interest from various clubs around the MLS and in China. So he has been getting certain requests from clubs in order to join them, but it appears to be that Honda does not want to go play in China, but he prefers playing in the MLS. Now, his agent came out and mentioned that he is not getting much playing time at Milan, and this to him is considered as putting himself at risk of not getting enough playing time in the Japanese national team, and he's definitely a key component of that national team, so he doesn't want to jeopardize his chances of not being able to play in the Japanese national team. Now, there are various reports saying that Honda could leave already in January and could head towards the MLS. Like I mentioned a few days ago, there are several clubs that are interested in him, such as LA Galaxy and the Seattle Sounders. I mean, definitely if the interest is there and Honda prefers that destination over anything else, he knows he's going to be getting playing time, then I will definitely see why he wants to go to the MLS. He's not going to get playing time at Milan, we all know that. He hasn't been getting much playing time so far this season. He's never really been a considerate part of Montela's choices. So, in my opinion, I think it'll be better if he moves abroad, if he wants to, of course, keep that position in the national team, and he wants to get playing time at the same time. So we'll see exactly what happens in January. I did some research on the winter transfer window for the MLS, and it only starts in February. So we're gonna have to see if this deal to potentially Seattle or LA could happen in February maybe, but their transfer window is different than the European one, so that gives us more time to probably offload Honda and get some revenue out of it. Bottom line of this deal is I hope we get something for it rather than what we are probably going to experience with Luis Adriano. It's a shame that we're letting go of these players without getting anything in return besides saving on their wages. I think we should be able to at least generate some amount of money in order to at least, keep our transfer funds in a considerate amount, because we are dealing with €0 for the next transfer window, and we are going to need some sort of income if we want to make some signings. So let's see what happens with Honda, but a move to the MLS is more than likely for the Japanese player. Now, the next player I wanted to speak about is Alessio Romagnoli. Now, like many other players at Milan, such as Bonaventura, Suso, Donnarumma, De Sciglio, name it. This guy, apparently, Milan is working on extending his contract as well. Now, he's currently under contract until 2020, so he still has about 4 years left on his contract, and he's currently earning 2.25 million euros per season. Now, he's not going to be seeing a significant upgrade in terms of wages. per year. But what we could say is that Milan is thinking on extending his contract for 2 further years until 2022, where he will be probably earning 2.5 million euros plus bonuses per year. Like I said, not a significant upgrade, but the only good thing about this is that we will be keeping him for yet another 2 years. Definitely a jewel that Milan has, and they don't want to let go after several offers came in from abroad, such as Chelsea. If you guys recall, back in the summer when they were really pushing hard for him, I think this contract renewal could definitely help his chances of remaining at Milan at the long term, and we will definitely want him to stay at Milan in the long term. So this renewal is another renewal that Milan is considering at the moment. Of course, Suso is right now the next name in list for the possible contract extension after we have extended Bonaventura. Of course, the official confirmation hasn't arrived just yet, but that will be done sometime in early January. Now, so Suso is the next name, and potentially after that we will be looking at Romagnoli, Donnarumma, and possibly maybe De Sciglio or Paletta. So lots of names. Like I've stated last week, this is what Milan wants to do in this winter transfer window. They're not going to really base their mercato much on signings, but more on renewing players' contracts. Now, moving on, the next player I wanted to speak about is Milan Bade. The Fiorentina man, his agent came out today and said that he doesn't believe that either Milan and Inter, the two teams that are currently interested in him, could pay the sum of money that Fiorentina requires. Now, he is evaluated between 12 to 15 million euros. That is what Fiorentina appears to want in order to get rid of him, and he does have a contract until 2018, so it's not like they will be considering of taking a price cut right away. His agent did make clear, however, that he's not planning on extending his contract at Fiorentina. He actually wants to get out of there, but if Fiorentina are still demanding a pretty big sum for the player that Milan cannot cope with, they cannot accept because it's just too much, then chances are that Milan Bade might not arrive this winter. 12 to 15 million, I think this could have been an easier task if we were actually getting some money from the Luis Adriano sale and potentially the Honda sale. I think that would have been a pretty decent signing if we could have combined those transfer prices that we would have revenued from between those two players, but that won't happen, especially with Luis Adriano. We were expecting 6 to 7 million. In the end, we won't be getting anything. It will be a free transfer to Spartak Moscow, which should be official in just a few days' time. But it just doesn't seem that Milan has the right amount of money at the moment to sign Milan Bade. So I guess it's once again another player down the drain for Milan. Now, the last player I did want to speak about is Riccardo Orsolini. Now, Riccardo Orsolini has been a player that has been interesting for Milan. Milan has shown their interest in this player from Ascoli. He is a promising winger. He was supposed to be the backup for Suso, but reports came out saying that Milan apparently are no longer interested in Orsolini, as the Chinese do not really approve of this transfer. And like I mentioned several times, the decisions from now on are going to be based with the Chinese and the current Milan management, that is Berlusconi. If the two parties don't come to an agreement, there simply won't be a deal between the two managements, and therefore they cannot agree on a player potentially arriving or leaving. So to sum this up, the Chinese don't want Orsolini. They're not interested. And it now appears to be that Milan have abandoned their chase for Orsolini, as it won't happen anymore. There are still other clubs that are interested in Orsolini, such as Juventus, Atalanta, Napoli, and so forth. There's actually interest from abroad as well. Chelsea has been reported to be interested in Orsolini, and they were actually willing to pay a pretty big amount of money for him. So his future is still unknown, but if he does stay in the Serie A, or at least arrives in the Serie A, because he is playing with Ascoli at the moment, we will soon find out what his talent is made of, and we'll see if we lost on another talent, a possible talent at Milan or not. So these are the players I specifically wanted to speak about, guys. As usual, make sure to leave your comments on these news in the comments section below. Ask me your questions considering these potential rumors slash news. If you guys have anything that you want me to clarify, this is the moment to do it. I want to remind you to please subscribe to Rossoneri TV to stay updated with all the news going on at Milan on a daily basis. So let's get into your comments now, guys. First of all, Clayton says Gio or Niang and Bacca for sale. Now, I did read a report for Niang today stating that there is the possibility that he might be sacrificed in this winter mercato in order to generate some revenue. Personally, I'm not buying it really. Definitely it might be up for sale, maybe come in the summer, but not at the moment. If Milan really need to go down that road of sacrificing a player in order to generate some revenue for potential further signings, then they might just have to sell Niang. But at the moment, there are no real reports of him moving anywhere, so I will keep that idea on the side. As for Bacca, I don't think, once again, him too will leave this winter. A potential thing that he might happen is that he might leave in the summer. But once again, we'll see what happens with that. Now, Abdul Mohamed says, Gio, do you think the whole Italian team is threatening to non-Italian players on the team like Niang or Bacca? From what I understood from your question, I don't believe it's really a threatening thing. What I like about the idea of having an Italian core is that it definitely builds momentum and understanding between the players. Now, I'm about to say something stupid, but for those of you that play FIFA Ultimate Team, you know, there's that chemistry that builds from the players. And, you know, when it's the same nationality, you just get a better understanding. For example, the whole back line is all Italian, and you could definitely see the understanding, the improvement that the defense has shown so far this season at Milan. These are little tweaks and stuff that the Milan management need to make, but I would still like to see international players such as Bacca, Niang, just to name a few, being implemented in the squad to build really an international team. I don't like the idea of just having an all-Italian team like Berlusconi says. I'm against that, to be honest, but I would still like to see a nice, diverse team in terms of nationalities. Ciao, Andrea. Hope everything is good with you. Volcano Game says, what do you think about the Poli Jovetic exchange that was speculated? I think it's complete bullshit. Bia XO11 says, Gio, would you sell Romagnoli for some crazy money, as for example 45 million euros to Chelsea, and then use that money to get proper reinforcements to the midfield? Is Romagnoli replaceable in your opinion? Personally, I wouldn't do that, not even in a blink of an eye. Now, yes, okay, Romagnoli is a very strong defender, and I think he's going to be our defender for many years if we do decide to keep him. Why would we go on to sell him for 45 million euros to Chelsea or any other team? There's just no absolute case for that. There's no absolute reason as to why we should go on to sell our jewels like that. Also, because we will be getting investments next summer, so why do we have to gather some revenue in order to sign some potential players in the midfield when we will be getting the money in the summer to sign these players just the same? So in my opinion, this is complete nonsense. I don't think that it is a possibility to sell players like Romagnoli, for example. Even for big transfer funds, to me, it's just a very unlikely thing to occur. Mad Designer says, what do you think about getting Jesse on loan? I think he is a decent left winger. Yes, he's a good player, plays for Madrid. He's shown very good things at his time there. I think it will be nice to see if we do get him, but at the moment there are no real concrete negotiations considering Jesse from Real Madrid. Ruthwick says, isn't it a bit fishy that our interest in Orsolini ended once our chances of getting anything from Luis ended? Well, I mean, yes, in a way. Orsolini was valued at around 2 to 3 million. That is what Milan were thinking of investing in Orsolini. I'm not quite sure if the funds from the Luis Adriano deal were going to go directly towards Orsolini or if they were going to be used towards Bade. But point being is that we are not getting any transfer money from the Luis Adriano sale, and Orsolini is not one of our interests anymore. I am pretty sure that it isn't just a correlation between the Chinese not wanting it anymore and Luis Adriano we're not getting any revenue from Luis Adriano. So I don't think there's a real correlation between that. It might seem a bit fishy to some people, but at the same time, I don't think, like I mentioned before, that the Luis Adriano revenue was going to go directly towards Orsolini. Serial Killer says, this is honestly getting ridiculous. Same old crap every freaking year in terms of transfers. I can't take it anymore, and you're not the only one. Trust me, I'm very frustrated with what I'm seeing, but this is going to be the last transfer window. At least let's pray and hope that it will be, that Milan won't be able to invest anymore, and we will be seeing better things, better times next summer. Kool-Aid Man says, Gio, it seems unlikely that we will get any players in this window. Are there any young players that you'd like to see signed to the senior squad? I think we have a pretty good share of young players at Milan already, if you consider it. Already in the starting 11, we have players like Donnarumma, Locatelli, Di Sciglio even getting playing time. And then we have players like Cutrone, Calabria that could come on and help the team. So I don't think there's really an importance or real motive to bring in even more young players to this team. I think it's pretty established as it is. Once again, what we need is experienced players, not necessarily old, but masters of their own craft in that midfield especially. Like I said, and like you mentioned there, Kool-Aid Man, it's very unlikely that we will see any important signing made this window. But, you know, if we do sign some players, maybe someone that could be similar to Orsolini. I know we got rid of that opportunity there, but if there's someone that the Chinese are interested in as well and is of low cost, or maybe a loan option with a loan with option to buy deal possibly coming through, that could be another option for Milan. What do I think about Witzel to Milan? That won't happen. Clayton says, Gio, what do you think about the Chinese offering 45 million for 5-year contract to Donnarumma? I actually haven't really heard about that yet. If Clayton, if you could give me the source to that, let me know. But that is pretty insane if that actually happens. 45 million for a 5-year contract to Donnarumma. That is just insane amount. Now, Geek 101 says the transfer deals that really piss me off are the likes of Cristante and Saponara, youth talents who barely got a chance. We let so many talents go under the radar and we're beginning to regret it now. And I couldn't completely agree with you even more than you just stated there. Cristante, Saponara, Petagna, all players that, in my opinion, we could have kept and used. Like you mentioned there, we're starting to regret it now, as we're bringing in like an infusion of youth players such as Locatelli and other players. You know, if we did keep all those players that you mentioned, like Saponara, Cristante, Petagna even, this team could have even already had the youth established at the club. But unfortunately, we got a lot of those players. We got rid of a lot of those players, so we won't be able to possibly get them back anytime soon. But that's a very good point you make there, because if we did keep those players, I know that Milan in general with the Chinese, they want to focus on bringing in youth players. But if we did keep those players, like even Esharawi, for example, another player that we could have kept, Milan could have already had an established youth. Unfortunately for us, Milan was thinking about profit at the time. They were thinking about generating money, as they couldn't as they couldn't pay for any transfer deals or other things in particular. So they had to sacrifice all these young players, which is a shame at the moment. But as I said, I'm hoping for better times, especially next summer, where we will be able to get strong players. Now, Abdul Mohammed says, Gio, I read that Milan will save 20 million from Luis Adriano. Are they from his wages and can they be used in the market? Yes, they are from his wages. He was earning about 6 million euros per season on wages, and that was quite surprising. Now, the 6 million euros, just to clarify, this is before tax. So after tax, he was earning only about 3 million euros. But still, yes, Milan was spending about 20 to 21 million euros just on wages that were left on Luis Adriano's contract. Unfortunately, this amount will not be used on the transfer market. It will be allocated to the wages to pay players. But yes, at the moment, no, those wages will not be used for the transfer market. Now, Electrical Drift says, what team is buying Honda? There are two teams that are currently interested in him from the MLS. From what I read, LA Galaxy and the Seattle Sounders are interested in buying Honda. There was also interest from Sunderland in England, but that is pretty much an unlikely destination for Keisuke Honda. He's more than likely to join an MLS club, and I think its departure will arrive in the winter. Moving on, some more questions, guys. If you have any regarding today's news, let me know. Cap1357 says, is it true that Keita and De Vrij from Lazio will come to us? No, it is not true. There are two players that we are interested in. We have sent scouts to observe them, but they will not come to us for sure. There are definitely two players that we are interested in, but nothing is confirmed. Maybe we might get one of those two players, or one of the players that Milan is observing from even Fiorentina. I know we are looking at Bernardeschi, for example, but other players in general. But no, these players are not coming at the moment. Maybe there's the possibility of one or two of them arriving in the summer. Jamie says, do you think that with the money of the Chinese in the summer we could get Belotti and or Bernardeschi? Just mentioned there about Bernardeschi, but same thing goes for Belotti. It absolutely goes up to what the Chinese want, to what they think they want. If they want to buy one of those players, they will definitely do it. I don't think Belotti is a real possibility, but maybe Bernardeschi definitely is. And I get this question every day on these live streams. Now, 2T says, the only problem is who the hell named Chinese want to buy Milan. Even we still don't know if they really have money like Sunning Group, like the Chinese from Inter. These are definitely names that will be revealed once the final closing is done in March. And I could almost guarantee you that these are not the same people from the Sunning Group that currently owns Inter. There are different people. There are people with much more money. There's a lot more investors than just Sunning Group that has to do with Inter. But, Berlusconi has postponed this closing for so many times for the simple purpose of really making sure that Milan will go in the right hands. And if the investors are willing to invest 300 million in the youth sector, I don't know if you guys heard about that, but I did mention in the live stream yesterday, if they're willing of spending 300 million euros, guys, just on the youth sector, I could just imagine of what they want to do with this team in terms of purchasing players altogether. Giuliano Lapadula, hope everything is fine. Don't worry about being late. Clayton says, Gio, the Daily Star is saying that the Chinese is offering 42.5 million for 5-year contract to Donnarumma. I already talked about it. But yes, the Daily Star is not really a reliable source that I would back my money on. But if that's true, that's just insane numbers. Like I said, many people were getting worried about Donnarumma. His agent asking way too much money for him. And people were thinking that the Chinese weren't gonna pay all that money. If that's true, the 42.5 million for 5 years to Donnarumma, I think that just proves a lot of things if that actually happens. Didn't really hear about the interest in Fekir, to be honest. So keep sending me your questions, guys, if you want me to answer. What do you think about Fabregas on loan? I don't think it will happen. What about Pepe from Real Madrid? There were some reports mentioning about Pepe. But right now there's no negotiations considering Pepe. We'll see what happens with him, but I don't think anything concrete will happen, to be honest. Rakan says, can you do a summary? I am late. Sure, I'll do it right now. For all of you guys that are late to the live stream, I'll speak about it. So first of all, Honda, the first thing that I spoke about was Honda. There's interest from MLS clubs, Seattle Sounders, LA Galaxy. Both of these teams are interested in signing Honda. Honda wants to leave Milan. He's not getting enough playing time, and he thinks that his position at the Japanese national team is at risk since he is not getting much playing time. So there is the opportunity of him possibly joining an MLS club in the winter transfer window. After that, I spoke about Romagnoli, just like other players at the club, like Donnarumma, Suso, Bonaventura, and so forth, Paletta. The Milan is currently considering on extending Romagnoli's contract as well. His current contract expires in 2020, but they want to extend it 2 further years until 2022. I also spoke about Milan Bade. His agent believes that Milan don't have enough money to buy him. He is valued around 12 to 15 million euros, and Milan simply don't have that money in this transfer window to sign him. And finally, I spoke about Orsolini. Milan were interested in the player last week, but the Chinese haven't given their approval in signing the player. Therefore, Milan have abandoned their chase for the player. Hopefully, I summed up those transfer news of the day pretty good. Abhinav says, Gio, any possible sale on Diego Lopez? I haven't heard anything about a potential sale for Diego Lopez. But I do believe that Milan could sell him, or maybe they will give him away on a free transfer. If I'm not mistaken, he is currently out on loan right now. I'll make sure of that. I don't really remember exactly, but I'm pretty sure he's out on loan. In my opinion, I don't think we will be really selling him. If anything, we will be giving it on a free transfer. And yes, he is on loan at Espanyol. That loan deal will be ending in June. I think that he will be leaving on the free transfer. I don't think we can get anything from him, to be honest. Abdul Mohammed says, Gio isn't the 100 million release clause for foreign clubs only, so that means we can get him for less, right? That is exactly, I think you're speaking about Belotti, Abdul. Yes, yes, the 100 million release clause is only for foreign clubs, so if Milan want to go after the player, they won't be paying that amount of money, but they will have to start negotiations with Torino, and at the moment, there's no word of that. Caleb says, will the Chinese invest in youth from Italy and the rest of the world, or are the 300 million only for China? Now, the 300 million that I'm speaking about, they're not going to be invested in transfer market or anything. I spoke about this yesterday. This amount of money will be invested on academies to be held in China. What they're going to do is prepare young people there from China to be really in the football world, to be exported to Europe, I guess you could say. What they're going to do is develop those players there under the AC Milan model. The best players, I guess, that are developed are going to come to Italy, and they're going to do under other stages. But the main focus of this, from what I've read, is that the Chinese are interested in developing these players so that they could help out the Chinese national team. And really, I think it's a whole development that is currently going on with the Chinese government as well. They want to improve their footballing nation. They want to have a better team, a better country altogether. So I think that is what the underlying message really is in terms of this amount of money being invested for the youth sector. Do I think Zapata is going to leave this winter? There is the possibility, but I don't believe that he will. The players that are really leaving from Milan, if you guys want me to recap the players that could potentially leave this winter from Milan, there are Luis Adriano, still not yet confirmed at Spartak Moscow. Honda, possibly to the MLS. Rodrigo Eli and Vangioni, possibly out on loan. And there's also the option of seeing Gabriel out on loan. I've talked about this a bit in the past few days. So those are the players that are pretty much going to be leaving Milan this winter. Besides the other players, I don't think anyone else is really being considered or put up for sale at the moment. Borini is targeted by Milan and Roma. Spoke about this yesterday. The agent did come out and said that yes, obviously there are interests from clubs around Italy, and the player is welcoming a return to Italy, but at the moment there are no ongoing negotiations. This is what the agent said. There are no ongoing negotiations between Borini and Milan or Borini and Roma. What is my online FIFA ID again? I want to challenge you in Ultimate Team. I don't play Ultimate Team Orlando, so unfortunately, I'm sorry to disappoint you there. Is Harry Kane still a possibility? No, guys. Like I said, if I don't mention it on the channel, if I don't mention names, certain names that you guys are speaking to me about, it's because the rumors are not concrete, they're not realistic, or they're not coming from important sources. So unless I mention it on this channel on a daily basis, those names are more than likely not going to happen. Rakan says, do you believe that Milan have a chance at the Champions League this year? Yes, of course we have a chance of making it to the Champions League. You know, it's going to be tough. It's going to be really tough because there's still half a season to go. And there are teams that are better equipped than us at the moment, such as Roma and Napoli. And like I've stated several times on these live streams, it all depends on how Milan could cope from now on until the end of the season. Unfortunately, we don't have a strong bench, unlike other teams. So, I'm afraid that many of our players that start on a weekly basis will be worn out in just a few weeks' time, or maybe February, March. You know, that's around the time where many players really start to show fatigue. And if we don't have proper replacements, if we don't have solid replacements that could come into games and help them out, then I simply don't see Milan really challenging for a Champions League spot. So we'll see what happens with that. But the thing that we're lacking really is depth on the bench. If we don't get any players this winter transfer window, it's going to be really tough on many players to be able to continue on playing on a weekly basis at Milan. Just one more question before I sign off. Yad says, apparently we're considering putting Niang up for sale for 20 million. Is that true? Like I said, I did read some reports about Niang. Not quite sure about his sale, his potential sale really, but there might be a consideration of putting Niang up for sale in order to generate some money this transfer window. Milan might have to sacrifice someone, and if it's gonna be someone, it might be Niang to generate some money. So that's about it, guys. I'm not gonna answer many other questions because many of you are mentioning names that I'm not talking about. So if I don't speak about them, I already told you guys endless times, it means that those rumors are not concrete enough for me to speak about them. So that's gonna wrap it up, guys. Thank you all for joining me today. As usual, make sure to subscribe to Rossoneri TV. As you can see right here, the live subscriber count. If we can make it to 10,800 subscribers today, that would be amazing. So if you haven't yet, guys, please click on that subscribe button. Also, don't forget to like the video to stay updated with AC Milan on a daily basis. And I'll catch you guys tomorrow for yet another live stream. This has been Gio signing off, and as always, Forza Milan!